So NASCAR, you're finally looking into the future, huh? It's about time you guys actually start looking more into the future and actually catching up with the times. And it seems like the next gen car has really brought in just this changing of the guard with some of these teams. And it's really exciting to see, and honestly could be really beneficial for the future, especially with some of the teams. But there might be a little bit of some things that need to change within the sport itself instead of just with some of the teams. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk more about that. So stay tuned. NASCAR has prided itself being more towards family and being more towards like a southern culture, which it's what it's grown up on. Really hasn't been up with the times lately, and it's really affected the sport. You could tell from like the early 2000s, like everyone was cool with it. It was growing. It was like the second most watched sport in America. And now it's really just deteriorated, and I feel like they can't get out of that time that the 2000s were. Instead, now we're in 2020 and ratings are trickling up really, but really not phenomenal. Not like what we had back in the day. Obviously, that could be something different with social media and a new generation coming in and the old generation switching over to other streaming platforms and not really sticking with cable. So there's all different benefits, like not benefits, more just trickulations that could be happening right now within the sport. I mean, yeah, there's other things that could be involved with it, but I think one thing that people really are worried about are some of the owners that own some of these teams, because a lot of them have been in the sport for forever. Like you have Rick Hendrick, who's 72, Richard Childress, who's 75, Richard Petty, who's 84, you got Jack Roush, who's 79, Roger Penske, who's 84, and then just some family-owned teams, Leonard Williams, who's 86, and then Joe Gibbs, who's 80. Really, the age isn't the problem because we see NFL owners who are very old, who have like this ownership structure and everything that is very like past in the times as well. But the problem is some of those owners bought into those teams like very recently. Like we haven't seen very many owners in NASCAR really give up like their stakes to like big investors and actually like completely go through like a whole rehaul like we've seen with Williams in F1. We haven't seen that in NASCAR in forever. Like you have Rick Hendrick, who's been in the sport since 1984. You have Richard Childress, who's been in the sport since 1982. Richard Petty, who's been involved in the sport ever since he was born because of his dad. Jack Roush, who's been in the sport since 1988. And then you have Roger Penske, who's been involved in racing since anybody could imagine. Since like I got NASCAR in 1972, but I think he's been running teams ever since before then. So why does this matter? NFL owners are old. NASCAR owners are old. What's the difference? These guys are a bunch of billionaires who run these teams and everything, but the difference is the NFL teams are billion-dollar corporations. In fact, MLB and NHL are billion-dollar corporations as well. NHL is starting to get up to billion-dollar corporations, only top 5 teams in net worth. The difference is NASCAR teams are actually $100 million corporations. You only have like maybe like Rick Hendrick, who owns 300 million, and then you have some other teams underneath there, but then there's a lot of teams that are like underneath that point that aren't really worth $100 million. Like, I mean, they're cheaper than MLS teams right now, and they are completely with the times. You see, like the owners that NASCAR fans want to see. Yeah, you look at their social medias, and they're very much with the time, and then you look at NASCAR social media, like these team social medias, and they're very just boring. Like for Hendrick Motorsports, they're fine with what they do. They just retweet what they do. They give updates about the race, but they're not very fun. Instead, you look at 2311 Racing, you look at Trackhouse Racing, and you just see like a team that's just like fun with their social media. And then you look at Formula One teams, which everybody loves, and just like how the teams like interact with each other and not just like just keeping it in-house. They actually like talk a lot about like their other teams, and they actually like banter with some of the other teams. So it's actually like a lot of fun to see. But when you look at their social media, you would never know that Trackhouse Racing was a very new team. Like this is their first year. When you look at Richard Childress Racing, you just see something that's just boring. So who is all getting involved in this? Why is all of a sudden we're seeing so much change within the sport with many drivers wanting to get involved in ownership, and you have like all these other investors that are coming in big time? We're going to start off with Brad Keselowski, who just got announced as the minority owner of Roush Fenway Racing, which is very exciting to see because now, after losing his ride with Penske, obviously he's going to want to get in another ride. and he has his own business started up. He actually ran his own team back in 2011 and sadly had to close it back in 2017 because of financial issues and the cost of owning a team practically. So now that Brad Keselowski is a minority owner of Roush Family Racing, and now that he can actually be able to run the team instead of having to worry about like financial issues that could plague like this team now, because this team is ran by the Fenway Sports Group, which owns the Boston Red Sox and Liverpool FC. Now that he can just focus on just the team competition of everything and actually have a say in what goes on with the car and what goes on with like developing the team a little bit, I think Brad Keselowski could do a really good job here. I just feel like now that Brad Keselowski can have a say in what he wants to do instead of like having to follow like a team ownership structure, he could do really good with this. And I feel like Roush Family Racing could be coming back with at least competing for playoff spot. You can at least see maybe like a win or two every year, because Brad Keselowski is always good for a win. Next, we have Jeff Gordon, who just left his job as a Fox Sports broadcaster. Instead, now he's going to be vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsport, and he's going to be in the front office with Jack and House. So he's definitely going to be having a say in what goes on in-house, even though Rick Hendrick has run a great team here, especially this year. Like, they've been completely dominant, and everyone forgets Jeff Gordon has an ownership stake in Hendrick Motorsports. He's the reason why Jimmy Johnson is a 7-time champion, honestly. Obviously, Jeff Gordon knows what he's doing, and Rick Hendrick sees this. And now that he's out of the broadcasting job, he can focus more on the team now. So why not make him the chairman and have a say in what goes on within the team? So this is really exciting to see. And now you have a past champion running the team with a phenomenal crew chief. So you're obviously going to be seeing Hendrick Motorsports and maybe be a little bit scary coming in the future. And then I also made a video about this. Link will be up there. Justin Marks buying out Chip Ganassi Racing, which I still cannot believe. That came as a complete surprise. At least Brad Keselowski and Jeff Gordon, those are just like the worst kept secrets of all time. Justin Marks just kept this secret for so long and just surprised everybody. But I mean, Trackhouse itself, I mentioned earlier, their social media is phenomenal with how they run everything. And then you have Ty Norris, who's involved with the racing operations, who is very young. And then you have Pitbull, who's an owner and definitely brings in a lot of money to the team and a lot of exposure for the team. Justin Marks is running a great team here. And if you just want to see more of what I said, the video talks about it more up there. All right, next, we have Matt Collick. Not many people really know about. He's an Xfinity Series owner who is bringing his team up to Cup for the next-gen era. And how he runs his team is, like, completely different than what you see with other corporations, because this is a team that likes to have fun and shows it. Like, the drivers like to have a little bit of some fun with each other. Whenever they win, they go out and celebrate with the driver. Even, like, if, like, that driver who lost the race is very upset, they go out and they celebrate as a team. They have like a very football type of energy how they run their team. With other teams, you see like drivers go into victory lane and celebrate with the driver, like shake their hand and then walk off. But with Collick, you just see everybody run out to the car that won the race after they're done doing burnouts and just have fun. And that's what I think a lot of teams should do. And a lot of teams should just enjoy themselves and have fun with how they run their team. And obviously now that Matt Collick is winning that in the Xfinity Series, bringing the team up the Cup makes a lot of sense for Matt Collick to do. And then just the new team that came in this year, 2311 Racing, who is run by Danny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, of all people. Like, if you've seen the story with Brad Daugherty and when he talks about Michael Jordan and how they both watch NASCAR, it's not surprising that Michael Jordan decided to get involved in the sport, but it's just surprising like how it happened. Now that they have Bubba Wallace involved with the team and like bringing a lot of exposure and a lot of money into the team, and also starting up something recently that just came out, the Speed Institution, which is a way to expand diversity into the sport and allow people of different ethnicities get involved in NASCAR, which is what NASCAR fans want to see and actually get involved with. I mean, everyone in NASCAR wants to see diversity now, and everyone wants to see everybody have a chance to be able to get involved in the sport instead of like having this family style culture that they have right now. But having a figure like Michael Jordan involved in NASCAR and having Danny Hamlin, who's very involved with he races, so he's obviously involved with how everything runs with the team, with how equipment is and how like Bubba Wallace is going to be racing and how the crew chiefs are involved. It's just a lot of things that a lot of teams don't really get involved with, and a lot of teams really don't bring up. And then finally, we got Tony Stewart, who started this trend back in 2009 of becoming a driver owner and getting involved with ownership. Even though the team really hasn't been the best, they just won the past race, but they really haven't been the best this year. And even though Tony Stewart's kind of starting SRX and NASCAR's really not happy with that, it's just a lot of things that Tony Stewart definitely brought up the trend of like, hey, look, I can be a driver and an owner, and whatever happened in the past, now that we have like all these different investors that want to get involved in the sport, hey, let's get Gene Haas over here and hunch down, get a championship winning team, and we could go out winning every single week. And then there's so many guys that are after that want to get involved in the sport as well, and possible who's next of having an ownership. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has rumors of starting his own Cup team, with bringing up Junior Motorsports from the Xfinity Series and having his sister Kelly Earnhardt run everything. So they are seriously looking into owning a Cup team and starting up their Cup team in 2022. You also have Kyle Busch, who runs Kyle Busch Motorsports down in the Truck Series, and he also ran Xfinity Series for a little bit, but that was just for a year, and I think that was just a throwaway year, honestly, for him. That wasn't the best. But Kyle Busch has experience of running a team, so maybe he could get involved with Joe Gibbs Racing or bring Kyle Busch Motorsports up to Cup. So it would be interesting to see if Kyle Busch gets involved as well. You also have Kevin Harvick, who had the stupid rumor of buying out JTT Jordy Racing and owning the team over there. But, I mean, he has experience running his own team, and he has his own management structure out there right now. So it's possible that he could be having a team here soon. He's getting towards the end of his career, so maybe he wants to have his team, have it ready for his son, and just like have like a different driver involved in the sport. And then you also have the Dillon brothers, who are probably going to be taking over Richard Childress Racing because family within that organization. But even then, I feel like the Dillon brothers would actually do a very good job because they have their own sport management company right now, and they've run a bunch of races in NASCAR, like all that stuff, and they see like what his father has done, and they see what his grandfather has become, and they want to run that, and they want to get involved in that. So it's not going to be surprising for me if the Dillon brothers end up changing the name to Dillon Brothers Motorsports or whatever they want to do, or even keep Richard Childress Racing, who knows, and just running the team the way they want to do it. And I feel like they're going to keep a lot within the Southern culture, but they're also going to be keeping up with the modern times. So it's going to be interesting to see when they take over the team, because it's obvious that the Dillon brothers are going to be taking over that team. And I mean, this is great that we're seeing a change within the teams, but I do still feel that a change needs to happen within NASCAR, like the front office over there, because what is happening over there, it seems like they're trying their best to keep up with everything that's going on, but they're not doing that great of a job. We still have a lot of guys back from Brian France, and Brian France, really, everybody points to blame at ruining the sport. And I feel like there needs to be a change within that front office over there to rebuild all of that, because what happened this past weekend at Loudon should not have happened. What is happening with like not communicating with the drivers is not great. Everything needs to be in line with the drivers. The drivers should be involved in everything that happens. They should be able to consult with them and actually be able to talk with them and be like, hey, look, this is what we want to do with Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're thinking about shrinking it up, increasing the banking, maybe creating more of a Daytona style racing. And if the drivers like want that, yeah, they should. They agree with that. They don't want that, they can be able to consult with that. They did not even talk about it with the drivers, and the drivers like really went off on NASCAR back in Atlanta about being out of the loop. And then everything that's happening with the next gen car, with the rumors that it hasn't been safe, really is not showing a great look on NASCAR. So there needs to be a whole rebuild over there, and I feel like they they need to get a little bit of some change in there. But other than that, like the teams, they're doing a great job. Yeah, that's my thoughts about everything. That's my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry about the lack of content. Last week was just insanely busy for me. I was traveling all around the state, and then I had to travel up to Nashville, and then I had to come back down here, and then now I had to work yesterday and the day before. So I've been a little bit busy. I'm finally glad I got a video out here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys stay for the next video.